Welcome everyone to Parent-Teacher Magic. My name is Miss Rosa. If this is your first time here, welcome and thanks for stopping by. If you're visiting my page again, thank you very much. You are very appreciated and welcome back. I know it's been a while since my last upload, but I can assure you it was solely due to my dedication to my teacher duties. But believe me, I had you in mind. And for those of you who wish to continue learning about how to set up your child for success in the future, keep on watching. In this video, I'm going to be explaining what kindergarten students should be able to do by the end of kindergarten when it comes to reading. I titled this video Reading Foundational Skills because in kindergarten, we teach everything there is to know about the basic skills that a student should have in order to become a strong reader. These videos are designed with parents and teachers of young children in mind, ages birth to 6 years old. This is a time called early years or early childhood, a very or the most crucial time in a child's life. If you don't believe me, look it up. You can think of these videos as an inside look or a sneak peek as to what goes behind classroom doors in kindergarten. These videos can help you better understand what it is that your child needs to know so that you know how to get them there and what you can do before kindergarten and while they're in kindergarten. Without further ado, let's get started. So, foundational skills. When you think of a foundation, let's say of a home, you basically picture the base of where everything gets built upon and everything added is held up by the strong foundation, right? And without these parts, the house will not stay in place for very long and the house just doesn't make any sense. So think of these foundational skills as the building blocks for reading readiness. Without these skills, you may have someone who can memorize words like a picture and teach them reading through memorization. Yeah, you could do that, but it takes a long time and it's boring and it's not purposeful. And the child is not going to become a strong reader, unfortunately. So let me start by telling you what these foundational skills include. So, foundational skills include phonemic awareness, print concepts, and emergent reading. All of these come together in a strategic order so that the student goes from recognizing sounds, discriminating sounds, making connections of sounds to pictures and letters, putting sounds together by blending, reading those sounds on print, and eventually they're reading phrases and sometimes sentences. So let's dig deeper into phonemic awareness. It is a process and it takes time. I assure you that teaching your child these foundational skills prior to entering kindergarten will help them be ready and become strong readers. We learn sounds through listening. It's imperative that a child learns to discriminate different sounds and even label them if possible. Helping your child develop phonemic awareness is nothing more than what you already do as a parent. You can participate in your child's development of discriminating sounds with objects you find in your environment. You can use knocking your fists, clapping your hands, ringing a bell, making some other kind of sharp sound with objects around your home. When taking a walk outside, you can use animal noises, cars passing by, and let your child know they even have the power to make their own noises with their mouths. A simple game that you can do at home is to make 2 to 4 different sounds, have your child count how many sounds they heard, and tell you the order of which the sounds occurred. This is developing auditory discrimination. Teaching young children should be fun and game-like. Change up the order of the sounds to make it more interesting. Sit down with your child and say you're going to play a game. They have to close their eyes but open their ears because they are going to tell you how many sounds they heard and which sound they heard first. Ring a bell, clap your hands, and knock on the table. Now ask them how many sounds they heard and which sound they heard first. It becomes fun for them and it lets you know if they are really using auditory discrimination, an important foundational skill for listening for the different sounds in words. Once your young one has had practice naming, counting, and saying the order of sounds they hear made by you, now let's help them become aware that we all have a noisemaker right on our face, our mouth. Hey, keep it fun, make silly noises, make the movements of your mouth obvious and obnoxious so that they can see that by moving our lips in different positions, using our tongue and our throat, we make all kinds of strange noises of different pitches and levels. Some we make with our mouth open, and some we make with our mouths closed. A good idea is to observe if the child can replicate the same sounds you make. Ask them to pay attention to the position of your mouth when making certain noises and pay attention to theirs. You can learn a lot about your child's speech abilities by noticing if they can make the same sounds as you, and you would be able to tell early on if they may need the help of a speech pathologist. Early intervention is key. We match animal sounds and sounds in our environment to pictures. Your young one points to a duck and says quack. You point to a car, your child says beep beep. The goal is the same for when you show your child a picture of a letter. Children need to understand that the letter represents a sound and words are made up of those sounds. Parents are quick to teaching letters and sounds to their child, but as you've heard me say, and I will continue repeating, for your child to become a strong reader, foundational skills are important and crucial before we introduce them to letters. Put in some time working with your child with auditory discrimination, then introduce letters as the pictures that represents the sounds we make with our mouth. The next part of the process is putting parts of a word together by syllable or phonemes. For example, pop and corn come together to make the word popcorn, and the sounds b, each come together to make the word beach. Whether working solely with sounds or if you implement letter pictures to go with those sounds, take some time to ask your child to practice blending sounds together with words that they are familiar with. Here's an example. Tell your little one that you are both going to play a new game. Tell them you're going to make 3 different sounds and they have to guess what word those sounds make if you blend them together. So if you say k at, your child should know that the word is cat. If your child has trouble making connections and figuring out the word, show them the pictures of different items that are made up of 2 to 4 sounds and have them point to the picture for which you are making the individual sounds. Perhaps I can help you understand the purpose of all these foundational skills if I begin by exposing the bigger picture. For reading, the goal is for a child to be able to look at a word made up of, let's say, for the time being, 3 letters. The word is made up of a consonant, a vowel, and another consonant at the end, like this word, cull. The reader produces the sounds of the letters he sees, blends those sounds together, and therefore is now reading a word in print. If you notice your baby struggling to blend sounds together even without using letter cues, take some time to practice some more, or go back to having the child listen to, name, and count the sounds they hear in the environment or made by you or themselves. So let's say your child is doing really well at blending and now you needed something more challenging. Try segmenting words of 45 sounds for your child to figure out, or substitute one sound for another. See if they notice which sound was replaced, the first, middle, or ending sound, and point out that changing a letter or sound of a word also changes the word's meaning. This helps to recognize rhyming words, strengthens their auditory skills, and prepares them for reading nonsense words or words that have no meaning, such as cull and joel, which is important for reading readiness. Let's move on to print concepts. All right, so now we're getting into print concepts. This is the best part of it all. We're going to put all this hard work that we did building phonemic awareness for the children to now see how print works. We're going to start by showing them a blank sheet of paper, showing them that we start at the top left and we move towards the middle and we end up at the right and we go back down to the left. So we're moving left to right, top to bottom. This should not be taught in isolation because directionality is learned through real life experience, but we want them to get the gist that we read top to bottom, left to right. So at home, this is what you can do. I want you to start by having 4 objects in a row spaced out. Have your child touch each one left to right with their finger. A simple touch and go on, easy peasy. Then you can add different objects spaced out, have them name the picture as they move left to right, top to bottom, and tell them that they are reading because, well, they are. So keep doing this until they are moving down the page one picture at a time, left to right, independently. I mentioned having your picture spaced out because another standard says the child should recognize spaces between words. Explain to your child that there are spaces between pictures and words so that you can tell one picture or word from another. Same goes for words. If you don't have spaces, they look like a long string of letters on a page. So we're going to transition into our next standard, recognizing that spoken words can be represented by written language using a specific sequence of letters. Writing, writing, writing. Just to remember, a reminder, I did make a video about writing and developing fine motor skills, which go hand in hand. And since we are discussing print concepts and it does have to do with writing and print, I'm going to review what I had mentioned in those videos. All right, so what is spoken can be written, and we want this message to get across to our children. Keep in mind that writing is a process. It starts from getting their hands ready to having more control and use of their hand muscles and getting them ready to hold a pencil. We call these fine motor skills. Remember, I talked about that in the video I had posted before, so check it out. It involves going from using the whole hand to grasp and manipulate objects to gaining better control of the smallest muscles in their hands, fingers, and wrists. Eventually, this control helps to hold a pencil or any other writing tool correctly in their hand, and they can form lines, shapes, and eventually pictures. One of the ways that I motivate students to write in my classroom is by drawing pictures. I like to show how pictures, like a house, is made of diagonal, vertical, horizontal lines, a curved line for a sun. I make a effort to stress the names of the lines that I'm using. And so when they see them in letters, they understand that the letters made of different types of lines. Have your child watch you make grocery lists. Have them help you write a thank you card or a letter to Santa. Point out words in the environment in different places, not just your home, so that they can understand that writing and reading are a part of life and it's important and that they should learn and want to learn how to do it. All right, so let's recap real quick. We talked about foundational skills, phonemic awareness, print concepts. We talked a little bit about writing and how to motivate your child to write. Now let's get into phonics and word recognition. Phonics and phonemic awareness have to do with sounds, and word recognition is basically just that, recognizing a word by sight. In kindergarten, a child should know the short vowel sound and the long vowel sound and how that one letter that makes the vowel turn from short to long changes the meaning of the word. Same thing when the child recognizes the letters that differ in two different words. They're noticing that a word can look almost the same, but one letter can make the difference between one word meaning one thing and changing the meaning. All right, sight words are words that make no sense in how they're spelled, but they're essential to reading and they basically have to be memorized. And I know I said that if you try getting your child to read through plain memorization, it isn't going to work. But sight words are sight words. That means they have to be recognized by just looking at them. So how do we make sense of these words? How do we get the kids to want to learn words they have to look at as a picture? Okay, so first, you can point them out in a text. We use them in sentences in everyday life. There are plenty of sight words in lots of stories. So you can point them out of how often they occur. You can also use the word in a sentence, write it out, and point to the word in the sentence. Now look, my sentence has all capital letters. Just a tip, don't use all capital letters when first teaching your child to read because they're going to know the lowercase letters first. And then something magical happens, folks. Yep, they start to read. The boys and girls have the phonemic awareness training. They are learning their letter sounds and they're starting to blend those sounds when they see them in print. And so eventually our readers become readers. They're reading and hopefully they're reading with fluency. So what is that? All right, so reading fluency is having accuracy, comprehension, and a good reading rate. Let me break this down. Accuracy means they're reading the words correctly. Okay, so they know the letter sounds and they're not struggling. Comprehension, they're reading with understanding, and the reading rate is how many words the child reads per minute. If your child needs help with reading fluency, be on the lookout for a reading strategy video in the near future. So please subscribe so you can be notified when that comes out. Putting in the time and effort to help your little one become a fluent reader early can assure you a peace of mind that he or she will sail smoothly through grammar school while learning to read. And when they reach the third grade, they will be ready to read to learn with little to no learning gaps. Waiting until they are in school to begin doing their reading homework is not the best idea, in my opinion. The curriculum in America is fast paced and rigorous and begins early on in kindergarten. The more prepared they are to learn how to read, the fewer learning gaps there will be between mastering grade level standards. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does she mean by learning gaps? You begin by learning the most used sound of a letter, short and long vowel sounds in kindergarten, some sight words, and doing some form of reading. So let's say your baby had a little hard time understanding these print concepts by the beginning of first grade. Your child is already behind. The only instruction and remediation they receive is at school, and so they slowly grasp the new concepts of their new grade and basically playing catch up from kindergarten at the same time. Next, in second grade, when they're having to learn how to decode two-syllable words, they will have an even more difficult time meeting their end of the year goal and go into the next grade even more behind and playing catch up, but this time the gap is bigger and it's going to take even more time and effort to catch up. As parents, you want to help, but you don't know how. This is my mission behind my videos, to help you understand why we are teaching what we teach, what you can do to help, and how to do it. The mission of Parent Teacher Magic is to empower you with the knowledge, the parent, your child's first teacher, with the knowledge that you need to set the child up for success, to help you instill the joy of learning, self-confidence, and an I can do anything attitude so that your little one can carry out what we all wish for them to do better than what we did and to pursue their dreams. A good education is part of this process, but it does not begin at school, it begins at home. Thanks again for watching Parent Teacher Magic. Let me know that this was helpful to you by clicking the like button. Join me on my Facebook page and subscribe so that you won't miss upcoming videos designed to help you set your child up for success. Remember, when a parent and teacher work together, something magical happens. See you next time. Bye.